Close your eyes. Let the roads of the modern world disappear, and picture instead a winding dirt path, heavy with morning mist, pressed with hoof prints and wagon ruts. Tonight we travel far beyond the stone walls of castles and the names carved into marble. Instead, we walk among the quiet figures who built nothing grand, yet sustained everything, the peasants of Luxembourg. Their names were rarely written, their homes long rotted into the soil, but their lives, slow, muddy, relentless, beat the hidden pulse of a growing land. Over the next 2 hours, we will walk the worn fields of the Ardennes, follow the gentle rise of Countess Ermesinde, uncover the buried remains of a forgotten village, and then, at last, step into the cloistered luxury of Hypnotic Abbey, where monks inked beauty onto calfskin, while peasants toiled in the cold. Let this journey be soft. Let it be slow, and let the truth of forgotten lives rise gently to the surface, like old coins turned by a plow. Segment 1. Why you wouldn't last a day as a pig farmer in the Ardennes. Imagine waking before dawn, not to an alarm, but to the low grunt of hogs, pressing against their pen, restless in the dark. The fire has gone out. The air in your stone cottage is thick with last night's smoke, and your blanket is a scratchy woolen sack that smells faintly of mold and livestock. You sit up slowly, your bones ache, not from age, but from cold and from work that never ends. You are a pig farmer in the Ardennes in the year 1225. There is no calendar, no clock, just the rhythm of the animals, the seasons, and the long memory of soil. Outside, the mist lies heavy across the fields. The mud is ankle-deep, as always. The pigs are already squealing. They are hungry. You wade through the muck to toss them kitchen scraps, yesterday's turnip peels, a handful of barley husks. One nips your hand. You don't flinch. You're used to it. Your day revolves around the animals. You clean the trough, reinforce the pen with woven hazel branches, and drag feed from the barn, a barn that leans slightly more every year. There are no machines, no steel tools, only wooden rakes, woven baskets, and your own calloused hands. In the afternoon, you lead the pigs into the forest, a pannage walk, so they can root for acorns and mushrooms under the leaf litter. The trees are wet, your boots are soaked, and you must keep a stick ready. Wolves are rare, but not unheard of. And once a nobleman's steward accused your pigs of trespassing on their land. You don't want trouble. The silence is constant. No roads, no towns, no news. Just bird call, the rustle of bramble, and the occasional bark of a distant hound. You return in the evening with tired animals and an aching back. Supper is a stew of beans and onions. There is never enough salt. And yet, this is a good year. No illness among the pigs, no fines from the Lord, and no frost killing the last of the barley. Your wife spins wool by the hearth. Your child coughs in the corner, wrapped in rags. Outside, the moon rises over the hills. You sit in silence. You drink sour beer, and you scratch at the lice behind your ear. There is no celebration, No day of rest, only routine and endurance. You do not dream of leaving. There is nowhere to go. You dream only of pigs that live through winter and boots that do not leak.
Now, leave behind the mud. Let the grunts of pigs fade into the distance. We step now into a stone chamber, lit by pale daylight through arched windows. The air smells of parchment, beeswax, and cold limestone. This is the world of Ermesinde of Luxembourg. She was not born to rule, but like many in history whose names we nearly forgot, she did. Ermesinde was born around the year 1186, into a time when Luxembourg was not a country, but a collection of lands, titles, and feudal claims. Her father, Henry IV the Blind, ruled a region that stretched from the Ardennes into parts of what we now call Belgium and France. He had no sons. And so, in a world that preferred noble women to marry and vanish quietly into someone else's dynasty, Ermesinde stood at the edge of power, but not quite within reach of it. Yet the political map of the 12th century was not made with clear lines. It was drawn in marriages, in promises, in silence and patience. When her father died, a dispute over succession erupted. Nobles backed rival claimants, lords and bishops drew up contracts and summoned troops. But Ermesinde, barely a teenager, was at the center of it all. She was married young, first to the Count of Bar, then, after his death, to Theobald I of Bar. These were not love stories, these were transactions. And in these quiet arrangements, Ermesinde began to gather power, like a patient weaver threading her loom. Through legal claims, marriage ties, and quiet diplomacy, she gradually pulled together the core of what would later become Luxembourg. She negotiated with bishops in Trier and abbots in Echternach. She arranged inheritances, settled feuds, and over time built a patchwork territory, held together not by force, but by words. In an age of knights, she governed with quills. In a world of violence, she held fast to stability. By the time of her death, in 1247, she had ruled for decades, not as a puppet, nor a dowager, but as a sovereign in her own right. She expanded her lands, reformed laws, protected abbeys, and saw her people through uncertain years. But she did so quietly. There are no grand statues of her, no songs, no battlefield epics, only records, and the long shadow of a woman who refused to disappear. She was buried at the Abbey of Clairefontaine, a quiet monastery nestled in green hills. Her tomb bears only modest markings. She does not ask to be remembered. And yet, here in this soft hour of night, we do. Countess Ermesinde shaped the bones of a future country, not with fire, not with blood, but with silence, ink, and resolve. Let her memory settle gently beside you now, as we prepare to go even deeper into the buried past. Now, let the names fall silent. Let the titles and treaties fade from view, because beneath the layers of parchment, beneath the rule of dukes and countesses, lies something older. The earth remembers what people forget. Our journey now takes us into the gentle hills of the Luxembourgish countryside, where archaeologists once knelt among roots and stone, brushing away centuries with patient hands. They uncovered a village. There were no signs, no plaques, no names carved into stone, only dark smudges in the soil, burnt timber, broken pottery, grain kernels fossilized in ash. It was a 9th-century settlement, likely built of timber and thatch, perched beside a stream, modest, unrecorded, and until recently, completely forgotten. Excavation is not fast. It is not dramatic. It is not treasure and trumpets. It begins with careful digging, layer by layer, decade by decade. In this case, they found the footprint of a longhouse, its outline traced by darker soil where wooden posts once stood. The timber had long since decayed, but its shadow remained. Nearby were the remains of smaller outbuildings, perhaps a smokehouse, a granary, and a crude animal pen. Scattered around were shards of pottery, thick and uneven. These were not decorated vases or noble plates. They were cooking pots, storage jugs, everyday tools glazed with soot and lined with mineral deposits from years of boiling barley and root vegetables. They found charred beams collapsed inwards, evidence of a fire, perhaps an accident, perhaps something else, a raid, a lightning strike. No records survive to say. What they did find was a hearth, still blackened, still ringed with stones arranged in a circle by hands long turned to dust. They found animal bones, mostly pigs and goats, and a few charred grains of einkorn wheat, a variety long gone from our fields, but once common in these valleys. Perhaps most haunting was a child's tooth, preserved in the soil, still sharp and small. It may have fallen during a meal, or perhaps it is all that remains of someone. And scattered nearby, almost overlooked, were glass beads, small, imperfect, cloudy in color, not native to this region. These likely came by trade, perhaps from the Rhineland, a reminder that even this tiny village, seemingly lost to time, was part of a larger world. But no writing was found, no books, no names. We do not know what they called their home. We do not know their songs, their prayers, or the words they whispered to each other as the fire died down. But we know they lived. We know they built. We know they ate, worried, hoped, and dreamed beneath the same stars that now shine above your own quiet room. The soil forgets nothing. And so tonight, as you lie still, let your breath match the rhythm of the trowel. Let your thoughts sink slowly, like rainwater, into the earth, and listen to what the buried world remembers when all else is gone.
The fields are far behind us now. The soil has closed over the past. We rise again, slowly, softly, into the world of stone walls, vaulted ceilings, and silent cloisters. Welcome to Echternach Abbey. Founded in the 7th century by an English monk named Willibrord, this abbey stood as a beacon of order, wealth, and sacred purpose in a world that often knew neither peace nor permanence. Here, among books and bells, monks lived lives of quiet power. Not kings, not warriors, but men whose daily routine shaped the spiritual and cultural soul of Luxembourg. You are one of them now. Imagine waking before dawn, not to shouting nor labor, but to a bell, a low humming tone that rolls through the stone corridors. You rise slowly from your narrow bed. The air is cold. You do not speak. There is no rush, no chaos, just ritual, just rhythm. You join the others for matins, the first of many prayers that will divide your day. The chapel is dim, lit only by tallow candles. Voices rise, not loudly, but in a murmured chant, words in Latin flowing like wind through trees. After prayer, you move to the scriptorium. Here, sunlight filters through arched windows. A hush reigns. The only sounds are the scratching of quills and the gentle turning of vellum pages. You are not just reading books, you are making them. On the desk before you lies a stretched piece of vellum, calfskin, carefully prepared. It is creamy, smooth, and slightly translucent. In your inkpot, ground oak gall and iron filings have created a rich black stain. Your quill is sharp. With slow precision, you begin to copy, line by line, letter by letter. Each word of a holy text or historical treatise must be perfect. Each initial carefully illuminated, painted with mineral blues, reds, and gold leaf. Some pages take weeks, some months. And when completed, they will be bound in oak and leather, clasped shut with iron, and stored in the Abbey's growing library. Few will ever read them, but that does not matter. Perfection is not for others, it is for the soul. Later, you move to the refectory, where meals are taken in silence. A single monk reads aloud while the others eat slowly. Bowls of lentils, a crust of bread, perhaps a small wedge of cheese. Conversation is forbidden, but your mind wanders freely. In the afternoon, you might tend the gardens, mix pigments, or copy music notation for chants. Even leisure is purposeful. And always the bell rings, marking the hours, dividing time into sacred portions. At Compline, the final prayer, the sky outside the chapel turns blue with twilight. The candles flicker, the hymns are soft. You kneel, you listen. This is not a life of hardship, nor one of indulgence. It is a life of quiet control. While peasants toil in the cold, you wear woolen robes, sleep beneath a roof, and eat every day. While noblemen scheme, you copy knowledge that will outlast them. The abbey has wealth, land, influence. Even emperors respect it. And yet, the true treasure here is silence. A silence shaped by centuries, a silence that holds every word ever written, every song ever sung. So let it hold you now. Let the echo of chanting monks settle around your shoulders like a blanket. Let the slow rhythm of ink and breath and bell rock you gently toward sleep. In Hypnotic Abbey, time does not race. It flows like a stream beneath stone, soft, unbroken, eternal.